Hey, so I thought it was time for another bad lighting video. I wanted to share something with you guys that I'm finding so interesting and just something to be aware of during these pandemic times. So, and that is the similarities between psychological effects of captivity on zoo animals and the potential psychological aspects of on human species right now because of the COVID pandemic. So there are a lot of similarities we could draw, I think, and doing a little bit of research, even just a teeny bit of research into what happens to animals in captivity as far as their mental health. I was just curious, is that something that there might be some parallels to what humans might be experiencing? And absolutely, I mean, obviously that would be the case, right? Animals in captivity are away from their social group, they're out of their natural environment, they have a different diet generally than they naturally would eat. They can't get exercise like they would in the wild. So many aspects of being in their natural environment are taken away from them. The loss of freedom, loss of companionship. And those things do have massive impacts on animals. And I am not an expert at this, so I just did a little bit of research, and I wanted to just share with you some of those things that I found. I am reading off of notes because this is just research that I did. So 75% of primates held in captivity die within the first 20 months, primarily due to depression and psychological problems. So just off the top there, that's really interesting because we are animals. We're closely related to primates, or the primates that are kept in captivity in zoos. And just zoo animals in general exhibit anxiety, depression, something they called zoochosis, which is a psychosis caused by captivity and confinement. They see a lot of pacing, detachment from their surroundings, self-mutilation, oversleeping, overeating, obesity, signs of severe frustration and mental instability, and of course lack of exercise. So just really obviously those are some possible effects that people could be experiencing during these times. Now, in general, people are disconnected from themselves. They're disconnected from nature. They're eating a not natural diet. So those people are already experiencing some of those effects. I don't think we generally identify that as such. It's become somewhat normalized as far as like overeating, under-exercising, spending most of our time indoors. There's you could kind of go on and on with the list, but I thought it was very fascinating. First of all, don't support zoos. The psychological effects on animals in zoos completely outweighs any kind of positive you could think of, like, oh, people become interested in animals, or those things don't tend to hold up, and animals are just kept for the entertainment of the other animals, which are us, and it's in my mind just a form of slavery. So and obviously is unfair and wrong and should be stopped. But mainly I wanted to do this video because I think identifying what could be happening for you and your psychological experience, your mental health during this time, possibly take a look at how you're spending your time, because when we are removed from all the things I was talking about, our social group, our regular diet, exercise, nature, those are all things we are evolved to need to thrive and survive. So if those are missing, we start to show these same signs that zoo animals show that I listed in captivity. Like I said, we are generally so disconnected anyway that we we normalize a lot of those behaviors, but I'm just suggesting that we possibly take another look and look at what those deficiencies are actually causing in us. Today, I had spent all day indoors, and towards the afternoon, I started feeling really down and low energy and just not good at all, and kind of lost and disconnected. And it took me a minute, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for a walk and sit by this oak tree that I love right down the street. So sure enough, pretty much as soon as I got outdoors, I started feeling better. And then sitting by the tree, took my shoes off, was grounding, had my hands on the trunk, and just, closing my eyes, breathing in. And then when I opened my eyes, really looking at the hills and the trees and noticing the sensory experiences I was having, noticing the birds and listening to the bees, watching the squirrels, feeling the wind on my skin, feeling the cold. All of those experiences are what it is to be human and to be present in the now. And when we are deprived of our natural environment, we start to kind of go downhill. So I wanted to just offer this as maybe a little life raft or what a lifesaver ring. If you are feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling purposeless, instead of going to a fix with those, such as any kind of an addiction or a distraction, even if it seems like a positive distraction, like mine would be, I do a lot of reading, or, making healthy food even. But instead of going to something that will distract you or kind of numb you out to what you're feeling, possibly take a look at how are you being disconnected from your natural environment? What aspects of your natural environment are either no longer in your daily life or are lessened to a huge degree? And think about especially getting outside, getting in nature, taking a walk, putting your hands and feet in the dirt, like really reconnecting with the environment that we evolved in. So get outside and hug a tree. I swear it helps so much. By the time I came back, I was moment by moment, incrementally while I was out there, just like coming back into awareness of my body, like feeling good, feeling the energy flow, just feeling just a higher vibration, higher mental state. And all I did was take a walk. I purposely did no analysis of the situation, which is, I think, what we as these animals that have evolved this giant forebrain tend to do. We tend to go into analysis and thinking and trying to fix in that way. And often that is just taking us deeper into the pathology. And what we really need is to go the other direction, put our focus on our senses, on our sensory experiences, get outside, get back into our natural environment. So I think you get the picture. Thanks for listening.